Socially responsible investment. So how could one define it? It's often referred to as SRI. SRI is a kind of practice you would find in the asset management industry. And in this SRI domain, you would use specific criteria to build your portfolio of investments. So the criteria you would use would typically be ESG criteria. E means environment, S social, and G governance. And so when you select the shares in which you would like to invest, you would not only look at the cash generated by the companies, but also you would also look at the performances, the non-financial performances these companies would have in their operations. Why is it important to talk about SRI? Because it's a practice that was initially a niche that was used by only very few people in financial markets, and now more and more asset managers use these criteria to decide whether they should invest or not in a company. So there is this notion of SRI mainstreaming today. Many research have been done on this SRI mainstreaming, and we've done some research on this with some colleagues here at ESSEC and at École Polytechnique in Paris also. The way we looked at it is the following. We launched a survey of SRI analysts, and we asked them, well, how do you interact with traditional financial analysts and with traditional asset managers? Do they listen to your analysis? Do they use the same methods as the methods you've been using for many, many years? So how do you influence the traditional asset management industry? And so the result of this research was to show or to give some signs that there is a real mainstreaming, in the sense that more and more asset managers refer to ESG criteria when they make decisions for their portfolio. So what kind of impact can SRI have on practice? Because that's really the key issue today. So you can look at it from two sides. From the financial industry side, what kind of influence can asset managers or analysts have on CEOs, for example? There is another way to look at it, which is from the company's side, and to try and find what the consequences of SRI analysis could be on the operations, on the practices of executives at the business unit level. And so what we begin to observe today is that there are more and more influences at the operational level of SRI discourses. So, for example, in plants, you can find more indicators on safety, on environmental issues, much more than in the past. And then the question would be, does it have a real impact, or is it just greenwashing? Greenwashing is a big risk, because when you look at these two interfaces between companies and financial markets, it's quite easy for a company to produce a nice brochure with nice examples, but the question is, does it really reflect the reality, and is it just an exception, the nice case, or is it something that you would find in any business unit? And there are quite a few examples where you could become quite cynical. I mean, saying that some companies do a lot of greenwashing and not many actions. But on the other hand, when you look at the other interface, the interface between the CEOs or executive committees and business units, you see more and more examples of practices that really change. So on safety again, on environmental issues, on governance issues. So things are really changing, and what one could clearly make a link between the issues on financial markets and the issues in practice for many companies. Can the crisis have any impact on SRI mainstreaming? Probably yes, it can have a big impact, because one of the consequences of the crisis is to increase the level of risks for many investors. And looking at other criteria, especially at non-financial criteria, is also a way to reduce the risks and to anticipate more precisely bad reputational effects an environmental crisis could have on a company, for example. So we believe that the crisis could have a positive impact on the mainstreaming of SRI. It could really encourage more and more people to look at other criteria, not only at pure financial data.